All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. We have some huge breaking news. Da-na-na, na-na-na. We have some really big breaking news involving the Bucks. This is reported about an hour ago from ESPN Shams Sharani, who's been busy all day yesterday and probably all day today. Free agent center Myles Turner has agreed to a 4-year, $107 million deal with the Milwaukee Bucks, plus a player option for the fourth year in 2028-2029, and a full 15% trade kicker, sources tell ESPN. Stunner. That is not all, though. This came down, right? And you would think, wow, this is a really good trade for the Bucks. Myles Turner on your screen right now, former Indiana Pacer, just went to the NBA Finals with the Pacers. Um, we'll talk about the Pacers end of this in a second. You would think for the Bucks, oh, this is a great deal. Immediate reaction, great deal. Got a center to replace Brook Lopez, who left for the Clippers. Um, and then it came down. Um, 18 minutes. Is this 18 minutes later? 10, not even 10 minutes later, as I have it screenshotted right here. 10 minutes later, um, the Milwaukee Bucks are waiving Damian Lillard and stretching the remaining of his $113 million contract in order to acquire Myles Turner, sources tell ESPN. Lillard's two seasons in Milwaukee comes to an end as he rehabilitates a torn Achilles. So yeah, that's the breaking news. One domino falls, then another, and then another. The Bucks have been pretty busy this offseason already. They signed a couple guys back. They got some new pieces. We'll talk about that in a second. If you like what I have to say, like the video. If you have any opinions, comment down below. And if you just like the vibes, consider subscribing. So yeah, there wasn't supposed to be a video today. I was gonna take the day off, let everything fall as it may. There were some big there were some big signings and things that have happened over the course of the last couple hours. I really just wanted to let the dust settle, but I can't let the dust settle on this. This is a huge deal for the city of Milwaukee, for Dame Lillard, for Giannis Antetokounmpo, for the Indiana Pacers. What um what can I say that hasn't been said, or what is going to be said in the future? Um, the initial reaction I've seen is that um, about Myles Turner. I'm speaking about is that Myles Turner isn't enough to keep Giannis in Milwaukee, who is still, I would say, treading water on the thought of staying in Milwaukee. All signs point towards yes, but over the course of the last couple days, the Bucks have been able to retain people like Kevin Porter Jr., who signed a 2-year, $11 million deal. They've been able to keep Torian Prince on a 2-year, $7 million deal. Um, they got Bobby Portis back for 3 years, $44 million. They kept Gary Trent for a 2-year, $7 million deal, and Brook Lopez, like I mentioned, left for the Clippers, 2-year, $18 million deal. So he will be in Los Angeles next year and not with Milwaukee. And this just came down 11 minutes ago that Gary Harris signed a deal for a 2-year deal with a player option on the second season. So they've brought in some new guys, kept some of the old crew from last year. Doc Rivers is still the coach. And I don't want to talk about too much what this means for Giannis because it's going to be all up in the air. And there's a report that came out right after this Damian Lillard waving and stretching. We'll get to that. But strictly talking about Myles Turner on the Bucks, I think it's a great fit. I think it's a humongous get for the Bucks, considering they didn't have to give up anything. They just got him in free agency. The Pacers, previous to this miraculous finals run, were trying to um, trade him for it seemed for years upon years since I was in school. For years and years and years. This is a long time ago. They've been trying to trade him for years. Um, the saga comes to an end with the Pacers not getting anything for him. The Pacers not wanting to pay the cost for the second apron infringement, or the first apron infringement that they would incur with keeping Myles Turner, and they lose him for nothing to Milwaukee, a conference rival, a division rival, and they're without Tyrese next year. The Bucks get a little bit stronger. I like Giannis and Myles in the front court. Myles, I was banging on my table this whole playoff run that the Pacers were going on, especially in the finals, that Myles needs to make more threes. He needs to make more threes. And he just couldn't do it. Can he turn around next season? Hopefully. Can he rebound a bit better? Hopefully. Is Giannis going to do more rebounding? Probably. Um, are they a good match in the front court? Yes, I like the match a lot. Um, is it better than what they got from Brook Lopez last year? Yes. Um, I think this is a huge positive for the Bucks. Um, I think it's something that it's a little something to tell Giannis, hey, we're trying. I think what I've seen online at least is that the Bucks have managed to filter a competitive team since they've won the championship. At least tried to filter a competitive team. Now, in doing so, you've had to let go of multiple people in that process of trying to compete and trying to keep Giannis happy. You had to trade Drew Holiday. You had to trade Chris Middleton, who were part of that championship run. Um, you had to get rid of Brook Lopez, who just left. Um, you got rid of a guy in PJ Tucker, who now isn't so much of a big deal, but in those moments and in the time, he was a big deal for the Bucks. Um, and you're just sort of left with Giannis and a whole new crew. And getting into that is the Damian Lillard side of this, where I listened to my own video about this when Dame got injured. And I said this is probably the end for Dame in Milwaukee. Um, he's probably going to come back. He's probably going to um, rehabilitate and try to come back. I said at the time, I think he said he was going to be 36 by the time he came back. And he will not be coming back in Milwaukee. He will be somewhere else. And basketball, man, basketball is a cruel business at times. It's a cruel business. There are no friends. There is no loyalty. There is only money and what have you done for me recently? And some people are the exception to that rule in the sense of superstars and all-time greats. The case in being LeBron, Giannis, Steph, KD. There are only a few exceptions to the rules in those circumstances. And Dame was not one of those. Dame was never one of those. I had said in that video also that Dame probably should have left 2 or 3 years earlier. Left Portland and went to Milwaukee 2 or 3 years earlier. And it might have saved his career. And they might have actually won a championship together, him and Giannis. Dame left a little too late. He got injured at the exact wrong time. You can't predict that. And now the question becomes, what is next for Damian Lillard? My gut tells me a team's going to sign him, probably for the mid-level exception. And my gut tells me it's going to be Miami. And he's going to get to rehabilitate in Miami. Maybe put on a Heat jersey for a season and a half, season or two. And then that's going to be it. A guy at Dame's size, a guy what Dame does, which is three-point shooting, which doesn't require a lot of physical tax in the sense of like he's not a dunker, he's not this explosive athlete. But even looking at him last year and the year previous to that, his defense wasn't the best. He was already showing signs of decline. So when he comes back from this thing, is he going to be any semblance of a even all NBA player? Probably not. Um, I said this and it sounded so cruel when I was listening back to it, but it was the truth, and it still remains the truth. Is that this is probably the end for Damian Lillard. His career, as we know it, as a All Star, as an All NBA guy, as one of the best shooters to play this game behind Steph Curry of this era, um, amongst the likes of James Harden, Steph, guys like that in that era, in that space. Not Dame was never as good as those guys, I don't think, but he was around that area, and for it to end like this is kind of heartbreaking. kind of difficult to really fathom in the moment. We're gonna have to wait and see what happens the rest of free agency. Um, he's My gut tells me he should just go to Miami again. Um, Me saying that again, I mean, but maybe he waits. Maybe he sees what teams do and what options are open for him. I mean, there is some possibility that maybe I could see him in a Los Angeles Clippers, Lakers, um, maybe even now that I'm talking about it, maybe even a Warriors jersey. I don't think that's possible though. The Warriors are on such the decline, and they haven't done anything this off season so far. Um, but I don't know. I don't know who wants Dame, who needs Dame, who wants to take on, who just well, who just wants to be nice and say, hey Dame, you can come here. You know, don't worry about playing, just rehab because a team's gonna do that. It's the only courtesy that the NBA can do that a team could do is say, hey Dame, come to this team, pay the mid level, just use our facilities, use whatever resources you need, and let's rehab you. You know, and let's help you out. Um, that's probably gonna be the best case scenario for Dame. Now to talk about some other stuff that's trickled out here. Um, if I could find it real quick. There is some reports that filtered out from Chris Haynes, a reputable reporter and all that. That the Bucks, what do you call it, franchise player Giannis is quote not pleased with the Bucks' decision to waive Damian Lillard. So there's that. Um, I would put my gut reaction is like, oh yeah, like get more trade talk going, and all this, and I think the polite thing to do in these moments as a professional is act like you're upset about it. Dame and Giannis only spent a little bit of time together. They won the NBA Cup together, which doesn't mean a lot, but it means something. They did something together, at least in their time. And I you don't ever if players and like players that are friends or friendly never want to be like, oh yeah, get that guy off my freaking team. He's eating up so much money. We can finally be off him. They don't want to do that. That's so like like friendly and like kind of bad. But like in the back of your mind, you're sort of thinking like, it's a good thing he's not on the team anymore. But yeah, yeah. I think that's it. I really don't. I don't have a lot to say. I mean, from what I've seen, following up on this Damian Lillard waving and stretching. This is also reported by Shams Charania. The Bucks have found a creative path to waive and stretch Lillard, whose 113 million will be stretched over the next 5 seasons, while leaving their future assets untouched. In a stunning turn of events, Myles Turner departure from Pacers to join the Bucks. So over the next 5 seasons, Damian Lillard will still be on the Milwaukee Bucks books. They're gonna waive him and stretch him. From everything I've seen, um, they will be paying him 22 million over the next 5 years. So they'll have to eat 22 million and pay Damian still, because they waived him, and they're gonna have to live with that for the next 5 years until the 2030s, essentially, which is crazy. So there's that. There's that. There's that part of this that the Bucks are gonna be a little restricted in what they can do over the next 5 years. And maybe you don't care what happens in the next 5 years because you're trying to win it and you're going to be over the luxury tax and over the apron anyway. Just eat it and then figure it out after Giannis is retired and he's only 30. He's going to be 35. He's going to be like 36 in 2030. So yeah, might be retired, might be on a different team. You're going to be off that money. You're going to have to pay him anyway. It is what it is. Is there anything else that I failed to mention yet? Where does this land the Bucks in the hierarchy for next year? Um, I don't quite know. Um, I have a few rules of basketball that I follow. I don't bet against Steph Curry. I don't bet against LeBron James. I don't bet against Kevin Durant, and I don't bet against Giannis. Um, just as a rule, because they can make the miraculous happen. They can drag a team. I mean, maybe not. Maybe Katie isn't the best example because last year the Phoenix Suns missed the playoffs. Maybe not the best example anymore. But in years past, I've never bet against those players. As they've aged, maybe that should change that rule. But as Giannis is still in the prime of his powers and can still drag a team to the playoffs and just ran into maybe what you could call a fluky Pacers team this season, I could see them being, if everything is put to bed, if everything is put to bed in the sense of Giannis saying, I'm going to be here for the remainder of my contract, no trade talks, I'm not going to the front office. If the team is going to remain competitive, if Doc Rivers is still your coach, he's good in the regular season, put it that way. Postseason, um, if all that stuff is put to bed and they have all their ducks in a row, and there's no rumors, no whatever, and you come into the season and you play a good season, I could see him maybe the 4, the 5, the 6 seed, somewhere around that ballpark. If they come out hot, maybe they could be the 2, 3 seed. But I think in all reality, as things start to like filter in and out, as teams rise, I'm going to talk about this in a video tomorrow um, or Thursday. Um, Hawks look really good. They've done a lot of great things this off season. The Orlando has revamped their team. Um, there's just so much movement in the East that anything could happen. But for the Bucks, I think this is a positive move in the right direction. Uh, Bucks fans are going to be so hurt. Giannis, from reports, seems hurt. I don't doubt that he's hurt, but I don't doubt that you can see the forest from the trees in the sense of that like getting rid of Dame was the best possible outlook to this whole thing, and getting Myles Turner is the best possible outlook. Um, yeah, I think this puts the Bucks in a competitive place. We'll put it that way for right now, and I'm gonna sleep on this and think about it, and we'll talk about it in later this week. Um, but all things considered, again, this is the business of basketball, and it's cruel, it's heartbreaking at times, and you live in the world of, well, I always say this. I rather be if I was a GM or in charge of a team, I would rather deal with the ramifications of, well, we tried it instead of what could have been. And the Bucks tried it with Dame, um, didn't work out. All they have to show for it is an NBA Cup, mid-season championship, and not much else. Um, so I think the Bucks living in the world of, hey, we tried it with Dame, didn't work out. We never really had it worked out. Let's move on. What could have been is what could have been. We're in the now with Myles Turner and the team we have and Giannis for now, and we'll move forward with that. And I think that's a positive place to be, personally, and I think professionally as well. So yeah, um, this is a double feature. This is a double upload. So if you're watching this video, that means the WNBA video I pre-recorded for today, um, is out. So go check that out. I'll put a card in the top right corner. You can check that out. Check out. I'll be on the lookout for my NBA free agency videos. It's NBA free agency. It's open season. A lot of things can happen. A lot of things have happened. We'll talk about it later this week. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys next time. Cheers.